Hey guys, welcome back. All good podcasters are on holiday at the moment, so we're back because we're shit at podcasting. So we're back early on in the year to give you guys something to listen to while you lie on the beach, cooking your barbecues, doing whatever the hell you're doing while we're working double shifts. We talk about New Zealand Cycle Classic coming up. We talk about George's new national champion kit that he's got with UAE, Team Emirates. I'll give you a little injury update on a current injury and run through basically every single injury I've had in the past. Jonsey talks about dance moves. Are men more arrogant than women on the dance floor? Let us know. Like, share, subscribe.
I'm not prepared for this.
This is going to be a good one. I can sense it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And we're fucking G.
Are we?
Ah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, you can't impeach somebody that's doing a great job.
From Suchin Tendulkar.
Bruce
Gigolo.
George Bennett, you deserve this, big fella.
What's that salute?
he's put the finger straight through the one play.
We try and create a comfortable environment. There's no bullshit.
There's just so many of them, aren't there, though, that just don't like it.
Nelson, be proud. Yeah, baby.
It's 2022, boys. And as we promised to the listeners, 2022 was going to be our year. And other than the fact that George is still in the intro that he hates, the Bangladeshis are taking control of the Black Caps, and the fact that there's a new variant running absolute rampant across the world and bringing in heavy restrictions. Other than that, so far so good for me. So far so good. It's our year.
The best thing is you got to play that song you love on repeat. What's that? Old Lang Syne or whatever?
Old Lang Syne.
You were obsessed with that. You played in bloody October.
Yeah.
Old Lang Syne.
Old Lang Syne. It's a New Year's Eve song. Do you not play it on New Year's Eve? Old Lang Syne, take a cup of kindness yet for days of Old Lang Syne.
How was your Christmas?
Fuck, I don't know.
Is it Japanese?
No, it's like Gaelic. I think it's Gaelic or something, eh?
Do you guys have
one of those
Christmas songs? The only Christmas song that went around ours, and it probably went around both your houses, was How to Make Gravy, Paul Kelly.
Oh yeah. But some people question if it's even a Christmas song. It is a Christmas song.
21st of December.
Exactly. That's
the
good
people
enough for me.
The people who question if that's a Christmas song also question if Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
And they're also unvaxxed.
Probably, there's a lot of people that have a deep-seated mistrust in other people think question whether. Do you know the story for that is they asked Paul Kelly, they said write a Christmas song. And so he said, all right, I'm going to write a Christmas song about a guy in jail who's missing Christmas. I mean, it's a unique take on a Christmas song. I mean, who was Last Christmas? George Michael. He could have gone a bit more mainstream, but I quite like what he's done with How to Make Gravy. How was Christmas? Merry Christmas, by the way.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, mate.
Merry Christmas.
Mine was full on. I hosted Christmas for the first time ever. And now I understand. Remember when you're a kid and you used to see your mum running around, she just looked fucking stressed and you couldn't work it out. You'd be like, why are you running around? Just like drop your tools, go play with some G.I. Joes and you'll be fine. And now I get it. I get it. Because I did 8.5 Ks inside the house. It's rubbish. It's cleaning. And the thing that really fucks you off at the end of the day is when you're cooked and everyone keeps telling you, just sit down, relax. Don't vacuum the shit off the floor. Like, just fine. It's like, no. Like, I've got a fucking job here. I'm going to see it through to the end.
Oh, did you do the old vacuum? You did the old vacuum while everyone's still there as a sign of like, I'm cleaning up now, guys. Fuck off.
Yeah. The vacuum in the background's a sign to like start winding it down because like I'm done.
You're just interrupting any conversation that's happening. No one can talk, and you're basically saying,
you say, feet up.
Out of my house.
You know, it's a relaxing.
And then I've got that real dry uncle. He's fucking hilarious. And he'll pop his head in when me and the old man have spent an hour doing dishes covered in sweat. And he'll pop his head in when it's all done. He'll go, need a hand, fellas? And then I'll go, mate, it's already done. He goes, oh, yeah, hang on. And he grabs a wet tea towel, puts it on his shoulder, then goes out and said, any other dishes, guys? Like, we're just wrapping things up here. He's done fuck all. He's just a legend, though. Yeah, it was like chapeau. Well played. He just loved putting the wet tea towel on the shoulder and walking around for a minute, and that was it. That was
picking up the odd cup. Me and Hannah were on dessert this year, so I said to Hannah, "What would you like to make?" You know, and she
in that voice,
yeah, she wanted to make a crumble. So we went around to Mum, and I said, "Oh, crumbles, you know, takes 45 minutes, or whatever. Let's just make it there. You know, once the oven's free, once the turkey's out, or whatever, we'll whip the crumble up." And then once we'd had dinner, I said to Hannah, "Oh, we better make that crumble, eh?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah." And then I just sat there and just drank beers while Hannah made the crumble. It was perfect.
Yeah. Well played. How was yours, George?
Yeah, same, full gas. And my dad's the version of my dad was the
uncle.
He he's onto it, but he just hates. Like he wouldn't let a piece of wrapping paper hit the floor. You know, he'll be there with the rubber bag.
Yeah.
As a kid, he even banished like we did a bit of a round, so we like went to people's houses to unwrap presents, like brothers, sisters, and so there just wasn't wrapping paper at our house. Like he doesn't care what goes on Christmas, as long as there's no fucking wrapping paper on his floor. So, but I just feel like the whole period was pretty hard. Like I mean, really enjoyable, but as a pro cyclist, like I just think since I got home, you know, we had stag do's. Like for some reason, like all my friends' stag do's in New Zealand have all graduated into 2-day affairs, Friday, Saturday night.
Nothing wrong with
so
that.
I had that. Had a Christmas, had Boxing Day test match, which is a big day. Then we had a wedding. Then we had New Year's. And I'm just thinking, like, as a pro cyclist, this is actually like, as much as it's such an enjoyable time, it's such a hard time to navigate because you have to, you know, like, obviously for other people it's a silly season. You can just launch every day. Doesn't matter. You don't know if it's Tuesday or Saturday, or it doesn't matter, you know. It's just this weird limbo. But as a cyclist, you know, you're thinking, okay, I got Christmas, enjoying Christmas, but tomorrow I got Boxing Day cricket. But somewhere in between all this and a wedding and a New Year's Eve and all this, I've got a 25-hour week full of efforts that you have to get through.
You've got to
hoops to jump through.
You've got to pick your battles this time of year as a pro cyclist. That's the number one thing, eh? Because the reality is there's always, like, let's say between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day, there's maybe two unavoidable days where you want to have some beers, you want to enjoy it, you want to put the feet up, and you want to allow yourself the freedom to maybe have an easy day or a rest day scheduled for the day after, so that you can relax a little bit. But then you get the weddings and the stag do's and things that get chucked in the middle there. So then you've actually got to make them avoidable days. You've got to find a way to like rein it in on those days because you've got the unavoidables coming up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got to pick
and the problem is everyone comes in with, you know, off a huge run up. Like they've been locked down in COVID all year. They've been in winter or whatever. So everyone's coming off the back fence into these days, absolutely excited. And you know, you don't want to be the sad sack that's not bringing the energy or that's not matching their energy. And so they're coming in fizzed up and they show up to a party with 2 24 boxes. You know what? Hold on, mate.
that maths doesn't add up.
2 of them. So, and you go and you just get this little bit of dread. Like, as much as I'm excited that it's summer and I'm with all my mates and everyone's having a good time, you just know that, like, I'm just kicking the can down the road here. Like, as much as it's always like every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's the whole thing of like a zero-sum game. So, like, however good of a time you're going to have today, you're going to have a far worse time tomorrow. As a pro, you know,
is that the same rule in Is it the same rule in New Zealand? Whatever grog you take to someone's house, you have to leave regardless of whatever's left over. You can't take grog home.
Oh, you never take grog home? Does that?
No, you never really take grog home unless it's a fair chunk of it. But no, you take what you drink and you drink it. And if there's a bit left over, you leave it. Yeah.
And the only time you can is if the person insists. Like, hey, Bewls, you've left half a slab in the fridge. Go for
it. Mate,
actually, I don't want it.
I'm not going to drink. You know? I'm not going to drink this bottle of wine, mate. I don't drink wine. Take it with you.
Yeah.
And then you drink it on the way home.
But I always, like, if someone leaves it, I never go, I take that with you. I'm like, no, fuck it. Like, I'll put it on a show. That's tax.
Like, well, you've supplied all the food typically if you're the host.
Yeah.
Hold on. Mute me, Jonsey. I've got to answer this call.
Righto. What else is news, Bewls? It's good to have him back. It's good to have him back, GB.
we were supposed to be doing the show an hour and 45 minutes ago, and it's just been pushed back because George had something he needed to sort out. push back, and now he's finally here, and he's taking a call 90 minutes in.
Yeah, but the best is like we knew he was coming in red hot. Like he was coming in red hot. I was just waiting for him to fucking explode. Oh, he's back.
Talking about my morning.
Yeah,
mate. I was furious today. I had to walk home from my bike ride. So I've had a couple of. I'm just adapting to this side of the world and new equipment. You always have a bit of trying to work out basically how the hell it works. And because it's the summer period, today's a day off, obviously, around the world, stat day. So I was out riding this morning and I snapped a part on my bike, a shifter, and I must have damaged it in the car over New Year's. I don't know. But anyway, I was stuck in the biggest gear in the middle. And the worst part about this is I was having like a pretty easy recovery day and I decided to like take this gravel path home, like this gravel road through the forest, and I was in the middle of the forest. No cell phone reception, no cars drive that road because it's a forestry track, and it was up a hill and it was like quite far from a sealed road. So I start this road, snap this shifter, and then go, shit, stuck in my biggest gear, and you can't change what gear you're in. Well, I didn't know that you can at the time. I've since learned there was a million ways around the situation with Campagnolo if I had been educated about it, but I hadn't. So I walked this bike out of this forest, ride home the rest of the way into the road in my biggest gear, rooted because I'd just done like crazy hard block the last few days. And then I get home and I'm like, right, how am I going to fix this? Because tomorrow I'm leaving to the Tour of Wellington. First bike race of the year. We'll touch on that in a minute. But so I'm going, what do? I'm just going to have to pull out the Tour of Wellington because it's that for sure they won't have a Campagnolo shifter in New Zealand or whatever's wrong. And then I remembered I actually brought some stuff home, but then I was like, well, I don't know how to put it on because you've got to bleed the brakes and this and that. So I had to do like the ultimate asshole move and ring a mechanic on his day off from Village Cycles and say, mate, I actually went up to the owner and said, what do I do about this? And he had to ring one of his mechanics, day off, a couple of days after New Year's, summer holidays, drag him in, sit there, fix my bike. And then I realized this whole time I could have just changed one setting in an app on my phone and avoided the whole situation.
You've at least you ticked all the boxes of what people think bike riders should be doing these days, though. You went out on your road bike on a gravel road. You took a walk midway through. You didn't
pad the bike in the back of your car, so you've probably broken something.
You ticked all the boxes for the alternative bike. For the alternative bike rider, you ticked every single box. Yeah, like you say, except for the Instagram post.
I've been feeling a bit attacked lately on that front, actually, because like I feel like, I've seen quite a few articles from different pros saying like, pro cycling is becoming, they're all robots. Everyone's a robot. There's no one has the passion. It's all about just hitting numbers and riding numbers and power numbers and weighing your food and this and that. And, no one's got the spirit, and it's all about these guys going on these epic adventures, gravel rides and overnight trips and bloody, finding the love of the sport and all the stuff. I say, fuck that. I think that if you're prepared to go and do, like what I do, weigh your food, bloody write down what you're eating, go and doing like 10 reps of the same hill at a certain power, staying at the exact same watts, not being able to ride with anybody because you're training for that day is so antisocial that it's like 3 hours worth of efforts. I would say that you've got more passion than anybody for the sport because you're prepared to go and do that. I mean, no one enjoys that, but you like bike racing so much and you like being a professional cyclist so much that you are prepared to do all that stuff. Whereas all these people going, oh, they're just sheep, just bloody, these guys don't love it. They need to just find the passion again and just ride and then have the adventure. And like the adventure is being on a bike race and we're so privileged to be able to be on this adventure, right? Of like a grand tour. Let's say the Giro, the 2018 Giro for you, Bewls. What an adventure that was, and it was so much better because you were good and you were able to contribute and you were ripping the shit out of it because you'd gone and ridden up and down the same hill 10 times and not just been like Instagram cyclist riding around on gravel complaining that pros are all just,
Well,
to articulate it.
The thing is that like we still do those things. We still go out and ride for pleasure and only pleasure, Sure, it's a smaller amount of time. Well, we ride for pleasure all the time because we enjoy it. We wouldn't be doing it otherwise. But we still go and do gravel rides and stuff. We did that gravel race in bloody October or November or whenever it was, you know, like a couple of weeks into the off season, just for fun.
Did you put it on Instagram?
Yeah, fuck yeah. I grabbed the shit out of it.
You got some good mileage out of that, eh?
Yeah. I grabbed it for about 3 weeks, I think, in different posts. I even used it on the Social Distance podcast Instagram. Oh, mate, I bled it. I milked that cow.
To the tit bled.
Yeah.
But I appreciate what you didn't do in that situation is attack
anyone.
You know, didn't go out for cycling news and say, pro cyclists
but like,
will just.
I agree. Like, the fact of the matter is, you're a professional bike rider. To be the best professional bike rider you can be, there's a whole lot of goals you have to kick and a whole lot of boxes that you need to tick that aren't necessarily the most desirable thing for, say, a recreational bike rider to do, and that's probably why they don't do them. That's why they don't do them. But the fact of the matter is, when it's a profession and you want to be the best you can be, you have to do them. And the fact that we can do them in our situation, George, now for years on years on years and days on days on days, shows that you're actually pretty fucking driven, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah, and you're passionate about it, and you do have the love for the sport. Because that's what I feel like I've been accused of. Is I don't feel like I haven't given this much pretense here. People are like, there's been a few articles going around about, like, just from various pros that have just sort of out about, like, how pro cycling's just this, you know, monotonous, robotic sport with no je ne sais quoi, you know, no passion, no nothing, you know. And I'm going, well, I disagree, because the harder we, you know, the more intense that we get embroiled in these, like, little things of, you know, weighing your food, stretching, going to the gym, all these little things that people claim to make the sport boring. I think they make it more exciting, because the harder you work, the harder you know, the more direct the result that you get back out of it. And I just feel like there's been a few of those, and I'm pushing back and saying that the fact that I am on the road bike, not on the gravel bike, or not doing, you know, I'm almost the it used to be the thing where you would be like, actually, Rich, a friend of mine said this to me in Drona. He's like, he felt like the alternative guy going out on his road bike, you know, and going out and doing episodes on his road bikes. That now feels alternative, because there's so many people that are doing the alternative thing of going out on the gravel bike and then doing the missions around town and you know, that actually going out and knocking out efforts is actually a rarity now.
Do you think that
there's time and a place?
There's a bit of underlying. Those people that train differently or go on the gravel and that, do they get results as a byproduct of that, or do you think there's an underlying? If it is from a pro that's sort of moved on, or looking back at their career, they're sort of like, fuck, you know, I didn't get the results that I sort of wanted, but I can spin it away that it was because of this passion thing or whatever. But as you said, if you want the results, you want the goals, that you can't just be given that. It's a process you've got to follow. So there's underlying, if they're in a good spot mentally, they'd be like, fuck yeah, sweet, do whatever you got to do. But if they start coming after them, that's because there's something within them to call that out. If that makes sense. This is getting psychological analysis.
It's just a time and a place for it all. Like, I love to go and ride my gravel bike as much as George does, you know, and there's days where we can do that, and there's times where we can do it. And there's a lot of other times where we've got to go out and do 10 repeats of a hill.
Yeah, that's it.
Go and train by yourself. Like today, I went down to 3 hours and I couldn't ride with anybody because I had to just basically, you know, chug along pretty solid for 3 hours. You've got to do them. You've got to. There's a definite time and place, and you can see the evolution of the sport over years. We spoke about it, I think, on the Detour podcast, Jonsey, when I spoke about how I do a bit of running now. And, you know, I'm not the only one. There's a lot of professional bike riders that run now. Maybe not all year, but they do a lot of running this time of year and in certain blocks throughout the season. That's the evolution of the sport. That's something that, you know, coaches and athletes have worked out to be an aid in your performance. But going out and doing, if you got a 4-hour cruisy endurance day, go out on the dirt, go out on your gravel bike and ride some different quiet roads. Go for it. But at the end of the day, cycling is a fucking basic sport, and there's a couple of fundamentals that you can't avoid. You can't avoid them. And you have to do them, and they can be boring as batshit. But if you want to be a professional cyclist at the best level that you can be, I'm not saying be the greatest. Like, everyone's got their own abilities, but to feel like you're going to reach the top of your abilities, there's some fundamentals that you need to tick off. It's like a cricket team, mate. Like the Black Caps are standing, they're playing right now. They're getting actually dealt to a little bit by the Bangladeshis. I went to the first day on New Year's Day in the cricket. I sat on the grass for 7 hours. It was fucking hot. It was 35 degrees. I walked away there sunburnt, thirsty, hot. I was uncomfortable. Imagine those guys standing out in the field. Mate, they would much rather be playing backyard cricket with a couple of cold ones. And there's days they do that. But they can't avoid the fact that they're going to go and stand in the nets for 5 hours a day sometimes and fucking face 300 balls. That's the fundamentals of cricket.
If you thought England cricket side were fucked, how's the net bowlers tested pos, so they got no one to chuck agates at them.
Oh no!
So the nets are just empty, and they're like, "Geez, the tour's gone from bad to worse." I was like, "Oh, they just can't get a break."
Now. It's like when you're riding and you're having like a real bad race, and you're like, it's like day 5 of a Grand Tour, and you already know you're absolutely creeping, and you're like, the only way out of this, there's 2 ways out of this. I suffer for another 16 stages, and suffer 16 stages and finish this race, and it's going to be absolute torture because I'm already creeping, or I hit a pothole and break my collarbone. That's kind of like what the England cricketers be thinking right now. Like, come on, test positive. Those people in hotels licking doorknobs. Just
I heard a great story from a former bike rider who said he was riding the Vuelta in mid 2000s, and he had a big night the night before, and he was just hung. He was meant to be doing the sprint, and there was a big pile up with a K to go, and he just jumped in it. Like he could have avoided it. He just rode into it and Supermaned it just so he didn't have to do the sprint because he was crook. See, they say cyclists don't have flair. There's fucking flair for you. I love it.
Yeah, there's flair for you.
Yeah, exactly.
A gravel ride.
Yeah. No. But
and
so how have you dealt if you're struggling with that criticism, George? How have you dealt with the criticism of the of your New Zealand champions jersey? Have you seen that? It's been going through
Jesus.
Twitter like
I saw
diarrhea,
I didn't think anything of it. I thought, it's
neither.
New kit. He's got to have it for a month because he's sure as fuck not winning it back to back after.
Well, that's
his comments
exactly it.
about
I'm not
the
going to
intro.
do a race in it. So people are up in arms that I've gone from a fully. I mean, what people are forgetting is our primary sponsor is a country.
Yeah.
So, why are UAE going to go? Hey, let's make this all about New Zealand. No, they want it to still look like the UAE jersey because that's. It's like.
Well, if there's two
Countdown was
ends
given
of
out
the spectrum. Like there's two, like you've got let's say UAE, like historically, like they haven't had great, attractive looking national champions jerseys like Formulos and things like they're not amazingly attractive for the person who wants to buy them. But they've taken the thing and said, well, no, we're a country, we're sponsored by a country, our money comes from there. We want to promote our sponsors, we want to promote this region, this country. So that's our priority. And then if we have a national champion, great, we'll reflect that in some way or shape or form. But our main goal with the shirt is to promote what we're trying to promote. Then you go to the other end of the scale when you've got France de Jeu with Marc Madio, who's, arguably one of the most romantic French bike riders in history, who believes in having no sponsors on his jerseys. So, like, if you have...
only for the French one. I mean, if I rocked up to France de Jeu with the New Zealand National Championship jersey, he's not going to think twice about putting Lapierre across the back of it. He's just like Viva la France, bloody
So, but that's the other end of the scale. He has the French national championship that has nothing on it other than the French bands, and then every other team sits somewhere in the middle where they find a bit of a mixture of promoting the fact you're national champion without sacrificing.
You could tell by the nature of the comments that it was the 1st of January, and everybody was hungover and pissed off because, geez. A lot of barbs out there, eh?
I've got an idea. It just come to you don't like the intro and we need to change it. What do you do with your old kit? Have you got like an old national jersey lying around from last year? Surely. Yeah. So why don't we say to people, here's a competition, do a new intro for the show, and the best one, George is going to sign one of the old national jerseys and we'll send it to you. That way, you get your new intro. Outsource it. They get a signed jersey, one of the good ones that your old man didn't know what the fuck was going on. And then you get your new intro. You get rid of one of your tops. Everyone's a winner. I don't have to do shit.
Great. Well, I'll never race in that jersey, like you said, Bewls, because next week is, tomorrow's the Cycle Classic, which I was pretty excited because they announced the lineup. It was me, Sam Bewley, Shane Archibald, Anton Cooper, and... no idea who the original 5th one was. But anyway, Anton
Xander
got hit
White,
by
I
a
think.
car, broke his wrist. Oh, Xander White, that's what it was. Oh, he's still there, though. So, maybe, I don't know. Anton got hit by a car, broke his wrist.
The mullet. What's the mullet doing?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he's still coming. But he's a pretty elusive guy, so let's see if he makes it. But I just
He'll be
saw
there.
that you've been replaced by a... Hold on. I saw this on
Ironman
Twitter.
athlete.
Oh, yeah?
Mike Phillips, I think he's an Ironman, like New Zealand Ironman champion. Yeah, I have been replaced, though. That's what you're getting at, George. I am actually, believe it or not,
Mike Phillips.
carrying another injury.
Surprise, surprise.
It's not my first one. I'm still hoping it's going to be my last one, but we can't guarantee
When
that
you
either.
retire, your internal, you're going to look like Iron Man. Just be like brackets, bones, screws.
Can you give
You're
us
going to really struggle to get... Yeah.
Let's go. Let's just run through from... There's two ways to approach this. We can either go the last 15 years chronologically, or we'll just go from head to toe down. But you just run off.
I actually did the other day. I did just in my professional road career. So not including on the track before that or mountain biking when I was younger or whatever. Just my professional road career, and I just went from my fingertips to my shoulders, and it was like what is it? I can run it off quickly. It was 4 fingers, 3 hands, 2 wrists, one of which was a reconstruction that I had last year.
These are breaks. Broken bones. Yeah.
2 arms, 3 elbows, and 4 shoulders. So that's the count from the fingers to the shoulders in the last 14 years.
And you also stuffed your knee.
Done my knee
and you stuffed
times.
Your foot.
My foot, my hips.
You had hip surgery?
Probably every rib.
You are cycling's version of a crash test dummy.
So I was talking to viewers about this. We had a theory like, okay, is it bone density? Is it how he falls or whatever?
Did you drink milk as a kid or what?
Yeah.
Carry on.
But I've settled on the thing that it's just leverage. It's just physics. Because he's tall and his extremities are, wide. So it's like the extremities are traveling a lot faster by the time the taller you are, the faster your extremities are falling when you hit the ground. So he's hitting the deck at, I might be hitting it at 50k an hour and he's hitting it at 80k an hour.
And I've also had it's not bone density because that was looked into and it's not that. And I think one of the main other things is like, I've put it this way, I've had more crashes than I've had broken bones, probably, just. But I've had a lot of bad luck sometimes, just the way the crashes have happened. Like the one at the Tour de France last year, when I broke my wrist, like I was on the other side of the bunch. I effectively avoided it, and then we were going so fast, my front wheel hit a hole in the grass, and that was it. When I broke one of my arms, I crashed, and it was a fine crash, but my arm, like I guess the leverage thing, swung out and hit a signpost and broke my arm. When I broke my hand in Roubaix, I got taken up by a fucking team car coming back from a puncher. None of these things are my fault. Like I'm not that irresponsible.
But it's weird how it goes like that, right? Like I went 18 months without a crash, and then I crashed 3 times in a row, just like couldn't stay on my bike. And I was like, what am I doing wrong here? But it's just sometimes that's how it goes. For 18 months, everyone was crashing around me, and I happened to not crash.
Yeah.
And then some, there's no evenly spaced, like you have a crash every 6 months. It's like you might have 15 crashes in 5 years, and then you might not crash for the next 10 years.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm out of the New Zealand Cycle Classic now because I have got a broken shoulder. It's actually all right. I broke it about 5.5 weeks ago in a training crash. Like first week out of MIQ, I crashed out training, and initially we thought it was just my AC joint. I just separated my AC joint in quite a minor way. So 3 days later, I was back training again on the road. I did 10 days training on the road, but then the shoulder didn't really respond to the rehab like it should have. So we did a little bit more investigation, and we found out that there was a break, and effectively, I don't want to confuse the listeners, but let's put it in simple terms, a break in the shoulder blade.
But you also had bad luck with surgeries. like you get surgery and then you go, nah, they fucked it. Or they missed it, or they didn't look at the bloody X-ray properly, and they go, "Oh, actually, that was a clean
did the
snap.
wrong
We
shoulder.
missed that. There was a thumbprint
read
over
the
the
wrong
crack."
side.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what. After my wrist surgery last year, I didn't fucking leave a single stone unturned with this shoulder, mate. I pulled out all the stops. Like I was seeing about, unbeknown to the ACC, the people that will pay for it, I was seeing about 3 specialists at one time. But
you've seen so many X-rays now. You don't even need to talk to the doc. You can go, "Yep, no, that's a hairline at the T6."
No, I did. When I did this, I diagnosed a crack in the rib.
There you go.
Myself. I said to the team doctor, I was like, "Is that a crack in the rib?" He's like, "Yeah, it is." Like this was before the team doctor had seen it; he would have diagnosed it. But anyway, I spoke to a top specialist that I've used in the past before. Actually, he's a bloody good dude, and he loves cycling. He understands the sport, so he was sort of the guy I wanted to speak to, shoulder specialist. And he, anyway, all good. Didn't need surgery. Just needed a bit of time. I was off the bike. I was never off the bike actually. I did 10 days on the road. Once we found the fracture, I went back on the home trainer. I did about a week on the home trainer, and then I've been on the road since just before Christmas. So haven't missed anything, to be honest. Haven't missed anything, and the shoulder's pretty good. I've got full mobility on the bike. I can train like normal. I'm not doing anything. I've missed out on a few summer activities. I'm not playing any golf. Haven't played any backyard cricket. But ultimately, I'm training like normal, like I would be this time of year. And I just decided to remove myself from New Zealand Cycle Classic because there's still a risk.
Because it's scary as hell. I'll tell you what.
I put it this way. I don't want to fall. My shoulder's not ready to be fallen on again. So I just removed the risk and tried to be responsible to the upcoming season. So sorry for everybody that thought they were going to come in. There's quite a few people sending messages to the group, to the Social Distance Podcast social media, saying they're looking forward to coming there and seeing you and I, George, and they were plugging us to try and do a live show and all that stuff. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Sorry.
Oh, it
wasn't going to. It wasn't going to anyway.
It wasn't going to happen anyway. I'm so but relieved that you're not coming. I was stoked. I tried to tell the media that they cut it out of the interview. I did an interview with them, and like they were talking about like.
Do you cry?
Yeah, they asked me if I cried. No, they didn't ask me if I cried. They asked me like, "Am I looking forward to riding with Sam Bewley?" I was like, "Sam Bewley, is he doing it?" And I was like, "Sam Bewley won't be there. Me or him, one of us will be. Like, I can't work with him." And then they didn't really get the joke, and they were like, "Oh," and then they went, "Oh no, he's not riding, but it's a joke." And then yeah.
That would have been so good if that blew up, though. If that blew up and went like
I know,
crazy.
No, I watched the article that I watched on the TV. They didn't put it in, which I was pretty happy about because it's just like one of those gags that I thought would be funny, but just went straight over their head and they went, "Oh,
hey,
why not?" I thought.
One thing I want to ask you boys.
Thought you guys did a podcast together.
Have you boys seen the Peter Jackson doco on the Beatles yet? The Get Back?
No.
Oh fuck! I should have asked you that before I put it in as a talking point. It was funny. It was good because it was it was the leftover footage from this special they did called Get Back in like 1970, and they had all this archival stuff that was just sitting in a locker. So they dug it out, and there's 150 hours of stuff. But geez, the big thing that came out of it was Paul McCartney. He was the fucking leader of that band, and they all were just over it. And like how annoying that would have been, bloody Yoko being at every recording session, just sitting next to John Lennon, just a fucking pain in the ass. I can see why.
Imagine if Caitlin was just sitting in on a podcast.
Oh, mate. And no one had the swingers to say, mate, she needs to go. Like, this is fucking cramping my style. There was one, the best bit of the whole thing was when Paul McCartney, he just had enough. Like, George Harrison was giving him the shits. Lennon was fucking useless. Ringo was just spaced out sitting on his kit. So he just starts strumming this guitar almost in rage. And then he got the beat for the Get Back song. So then he started just humming like, Get Back. And then you got to see on camera how it evolved. And I thought that's you could get shirts done. It's a motto for life. And it's just strum and a song will come. Because it's like, mate, you fucking nailed it.
Could we get shirts done?
Yeah, just strum and a song will come.
Are you sure we could get? You sure we could get shirts done?
2024. Get your orders in now. They're coming. They are
Hey, you
coming.
know how you had an a correct apocalyptic outlook for 2021?
That's right.
How are you
Bang
feeling
on.
about 2022?
Okay, so 2022, it's going to be a bit rough, folks, for the first 3 or 4 months because this COVID thing's going to fucking explode, right? But then it will die off. Then people like double, triple vax, boosters, all this shit. By the end of the year, it'll come good. But my gut's going, and I don't want to be like a negative Nancy, but it feels like before COVID, there was always some negative stories like around, terrorism and all this other stuff. And that just died for like 2 years. Like we didn't really hear it. I just feel like when the storm's over, something is just going to pop up again because we're in the routine now, particularly with media, is we don't like feel good positive stuff. It's like jump from one shit thing to the next. And
You
it'll
want
be
more
some
like
other
sheep found in cave in New Zealand that hasn't been shorn for 10 years kind of stories.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I want
Are you
all
a
feel goods where
resolutions
like
man, Jonsey?
nah. I used to try that and it always lasts a couple of weeks. Like I go, that's it, I'm off the chocolate. And then I'd just fucking give up. Or,
I made a New Year's. Did you make a New Year's resolution, George?
No. No, I'm not big on them, but I did have some thoughts on the new year, I guess, but not necessarily a resolution, but just
well, share some of those,
not
please,
necessarily
George.
things, just more things how you want to conduct yourself as opposed to, like I feel like there's so many loopholes. If you're like, okay, I'm not going to do this, or I am going to do this. Like one of those punishing things we do. I'm going to push up every day, and then on January 2nd, you do 2 push-ups, and 3 push-ups, and 4 push-ups. Like those things that just actually make your life worse.
Yeah,
like those are just like burdensome resolutions. I just thought I just woke up on this like New Year's Day here was just unreal weather. I woke up and I went, just carry your speed into 2022. That's all I was thinking. Like had a good December, struggled to get back up on the foils after the off season. So November was just headwind, and then I finally got the boat up on the foils into December. I just thought, just carry the momentum. That's all I could think about.
That's it. It's good.
That's what we had a big discussion with a group of us on New Year's Eve about New Year's resolutions and how they're always like something like they're positive, but they've all come from a negative. Like I'm going to quit smoking, or I'm going to quit drinking, or I'm going to exercise, like start exercising, or because that when you're saying those things, it's because you've got something negative that you're looking at in your life or whatever. So like I've come to the conclusion that I actually stole it off a friend who wasn't actually there, but so this was like third hand, but it's a fucking great New Year's resolution. And I'm going to do it. It's basically my New Year's resolution, thanks to my mate Jaya, is I'm just going to do more shit I enjoy. Like that's what I'm going to do. Like if there's something in my life that I enjoy doing, I'm just going to do it more often. I'm just going to do shit I enjoy more often. Simple.
It's good.
What about the shit you don't enjoy less often?
Like doing hill reps.
Podcast.
Enjoy the final show with George Bennett.
When we were trying to decide when we were talking about doing the show today, and it was, as you listeners can imagine, it was back and forward. We had that same thing a week ago, but then we decided, look, we're not going to do them before New Year's Eve. It's holidays. Everyone's on holiday. No one's working. So we were going to take a little summer break as well. And then we came back today to do the show today. It's the 3rd of January. And when we were going back and forward, I was actually thinking to myself, like, I'm an advocate for another week off because, like, it's the summer holidays. No one in Australia is working. No one in New Zealand is working. I'm doing fucking 2 jobs and I'm only getting paid for one of them. And we should have just had another week off. I mean, I'm happy to be here. I love it. But
it's like a Band-Aid at times. You just got to rip it off. Just get the mic out, turn the TV off.
But then I started thinking to myself, all good podcasters aren't doing podcasts at the moment. And I was like, well, we're shit. So we probably should do one.
I've got another random thing I want to ask you as well. I heard a stat the other day and they said that blokes reach their sexual peak at 19 and women at 35. And I'm like, oh, that's fair enough. Whatever.
That must put some strain on relationships, hey?
Then I'm thinking, how do they work that out for starters? Like, is that a survey? Like, do the next day they go, how'd you go? Oh, and give yourself 5 out of 10 or whatever. Oh, well, mate, you've declined because when you were 19, it was just solid 10s. But anyway, then I was thinking, like, when do blokes reach their peak at dancing? Because I reckon I reached my peak at 22 and I just lost all my moves since, because for blokes, we just dance to attract women. And then once you get a partner or whatever, you don't need to dance anymore. And then when you do dance, like, it's not as enjoyable as when you're 20 because you didn't give a fuck. When you get to my age now, like, I've lost all my moves. And then when you get real old, you've only got one move, which is the knee drop and the arms come out, and that's it. Whereas women always love to dance, whereas blokes, we're not wired like that.
No. There's two things on that. That stat, the 19 and 35, explains a lot of the stories about my 19-year-old mates when we were 19 going home with 35-year-old women. And secondly,
it's science.
Yeah, it's biological.
Exactly.
It's biological. Women aren't ready to have children when they're 19, and men just like to spray it around. But then when women get to their 30s or whatever, they're like, well, I want a nest now,
It'll be far more problematic if it was around the other way. If it was men when you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be a real problematic if men were running 35 and women were running 19. But the dancing thing, for sure. I used to dance all the time. I'd always just be like, didn't give a fuck. I just became too self-conscious, and now I just shut up shop. As soon as I had a thought that anyone would recognize me anywhere, I shut up shop in a big way. And then, but like, you're right. You'd only dance because it was a way to be a bit of a bloody crazy. I mean,
was that's the first C word of the social distance podcast.
We will bleep that. We will bleep that.
We'll cut that bit out. We'll cut
We've
that bit out.
There was a bar, George.
Had to happen, eh? I was going to say, like,
talk amongst yourselves.
I was going to say we should
take a moment.
I was going to say we should reflect on the last 12 months of the Social Distance podcast and how it's growing and how we still haven't delivered any merchandise and how, people seem to be enjoying the show, and, let's carry that momentum. Like George says, like, let's hit 2022 at pace and carry that momentum and continue to develop the show. We have got some developments coming hopefully in the next couple of months that are, that we'll be able to take, get deeper into, but I think we've just sunk it. We've just sunk it all.
I tell you what, I just came off the foils. Just came straight off the foils.
2021 is as good as it's going to get.
All because he had to describe what he was like on the dance floor. That was it. 21-year-old. That was it. That's all it took. But no, it's a good point. Good point. Yeah. I remember the best dance move in Sale. My old mate Toffer from Mordialloc. The reverse park.
Christopher.
Just you throw your hand out and then one hand would be doing that on the dance floor. That was the number one move, the reverse park. Always a winner.
Actually, I've got a dance move that got me in a bit of trouble once. Was the sprinkler? You'd pump like this, the sprinkler. So a good story is that it was like a bit of a novelty move, or and it was doing the rounds. And amongst my friend group, and I was 20 years old or something. No, I must have been 18. And I was coming up. There was a local race here in Nelson, and all the pros would come. There was like Ralston, Jeremy Yates, all these guys, and finished up Takaka Hill, and I won by like 50 seconds over Ralston, and it's just a young guy. And as a laugh, because I knew my mates were at the finish line, I start doing the sprinkler like real early as a celebratory move. Anyway, Ralston had taken some time on the first stage. And I got to the finish line and realized that I'd lost the GC by 1 second because I'd spent the last 100 meters just from the spring.
That's awesome. The lasso was a good one as well, when you'd like be doing the cowboy and then you'd roll.
Oh, that was real creepy. And
that is full creep. Yeah.
They had a real Six Piece vibe to it, didn't it?
Oh yeah, big time.
Do you reckon men are maybe more arrogant than women? Like women are a bit more modest, and so like as we get older, like when you get to your 35s. and you've established yourself and you're successful and you got a bit of money or something, and you just go to nightclubs or bars and you just get like an expensive bottle of Pinot and you just sit there and go, I don't dance, mate. I got $1 million bucks.
Yeah.
Whereas women are like, I don't give a fuck how much money you got, mate. Let's get in.
I just want to have fun.
Have a laugh. Yeah.
Girls just want to have fun.
There's too much ego attached to the male side now. Too much insecurity or whatever. I mean, that's my issue. I mean, that's why I don't do it.
But it's like almost animalistic. Like particularly if there's a couple of guys on the dance floor that know what they're doing. They're going to show you up. So you just don't want to go there. It's like they've already got the prey and they're done. Why would you?
Actually, speaking of great dance moves, one thing that's come back in my life recently, and Bewls has seen it come out a few times. It's just a front kick.
Front kick.
Just a front kick when it's like a John Farnham, or some kind of power ballad. And it's just a bit that's you just fist pump and a front kick.
Yeah. The front kick's great, eh? There's so many good front kick songs where you're just like, front kick, front kick.
I used to do the Atari karate dance move. Remember the old Ataris, and they had the karate guys that used to come out and back. I used to do that, staggered on the dance floor. I got a couple of last 1 years. There's rippers. We could do a whole bloody 10 minutes on some of the classic dance moves from the late 90s, early 2000s. For sure.
This is what happens in December and January when there's no cycling, no pro cycling on. We're just getting broad and dance move chat, which is good.
But how do people enter this competition for the new intro? Bewls, just message us Instagram, Twitter.
God, I don't know. How do they send us an intro?
No, they make a video like 15 seconds to 30 seconds. The new intro to the potty, and the best one we'll pick and we'll send them a jersey. So just send it to us on social media, because the sooner we get something that George likes, because George, you'll have to pick it because you're the one that wanted the old one in the bin, and you're going to send him the jersey. So you're doing essentially all the work. I think it'd be good. Should we get them to send? Should we get them to DM the Instagram's better, but I have some people that follow us don't have Instagram. They've got only Twitter. So I always do both on things, but it's better to message us on Instagram. Should they send us a private message with the intro they've made, or should they post it on their own? Post it on their own, and then we'll share it as like video number 1, video number 2, and then we'll have a fan vote. That's it. That's good.
All right.
Sweet.
All right, boys. I'm going to go and
enjoy your life. Keep sailing with the wind, mate. Just keep doing what you enjoy.
Try and get back on the foils.
Yeah.
That's it.
Righto, guys. Thanks very much. See you in a couple of weeks, I suppose. Like, share, subscribe.
Does it sound less enthusiastic?